Today we have with us Jasleen and Shivika for the fourth episode of our series, Making the Best Out of Your 3 Years at SRCC. Thank you so much for being a part of this series. Jasleen and Shivika both are third year BA Economics honor students, and we're super excited to know more about your journey and how your 3 years at SR have been like. So let's get started. So my first question to you all is, as a fresher, how had you imagined your 3 years at SRCC to look like?
I'll take that question. So all throughout my schooling, I was never a textbook nerd and wanted to remain on the same trajectory, trying out different extracurriculars. When I got into SRCC, I thought that this would change and I would be forced to submerge myself into books. But man, I was wrong. It was nothing like that. The college had a lot to offer in terms of like extracurriculars, except studies. One advice that I would definitely like to give is just be yourself and maybe try to push the envelope by venturing to one of your passions. That could be dramatics, entrepreneurship, dancing, or singing. Definitely at SRCC, doing more than studies is always appreciated, and it's safe to say that it's home to every kind of student.
I completely agree with Jasleen here. When I entered SRCC, first up, I knew that I had to do drama. I had to, like now that's like a very metaphorical thing that people say, but I always knew that I wanted to go into dramatics, and that was something that was very clear for me. Now, for me, the idea in my head was, in the next 3 years, I want to be an NSD student. Okay. That was my idea of, okay, probably I'll just see how economics turns out. I don't know if I want to do economics. I don't know if it is something that I like. I think numbers are okay only. That was my whole idea, and I wanted to go into NSD. And then probably, just like as you go with the flow, you probably realize that, okay, no, yeah, this college is too much to offer. To, just look at it from that perspective. So, yeah.
Great. Okay, so what were your main goals at the time, and how did you plan to achieve them over the course of your 3 years at college?
So basically, to be really honest, SRCC crowds takes a bit of a time to grow on you. At least for me, it did. At first, I thought people were really competitive, and there was a herd mentality that you have to maybe join those societies or take side courses, especially in finance, which I didn't absolutely like. So I took a step back and I tried to understand that I was looking all of it from a wrong perspective. And I then maybe decided that I would go for only 2-3 societies that I really wanted to be a part of, and maybe do business competitions, only to find that I really like problem solving, which is a pertinent skill set across a lot of job roles, but majorly relevant to consultancy. And then I maybe decided that I really wanted to do consultancy. Being a research director at Enactus in my second year really sort of helped me hone my skills. And during these 3 years, I tried my level best to keep my ACADS as good as possible. Not perfect, because that's not possible. But yeah, I think that was it. I never really had a checklist, but I was also not underprepared. So one definitely needs to strike a right balance, and yeah, you'll realize your goals. You don't need to be hard on yourself.
Yeah, I already told you about my long-term goal. Like at the time when I joined college, my long-term goal was to become an actor. Okay, so and it's such an irony, you're joining like an economics or like a commerce college. You're joining a commerce college where people go and they study their ass off, right? And then you think about, okay, now I want to become an actor. So this was my whole mindset in terms of the long term. But like when I came into the college, it actually opened up a lot. I actually tried to look at things from a very different perspective. I tried to look at dramatics from a very different perspective, or content creation from a very different perspective. And I think that happens especially when you were in DU, right? You see so much of content creation around you at all points in time. It's so inspiring. So in the long term, I think it was that, but in the short term, it was to start creating content. It was to start collating what I find is relatable. So I worked with the Indian Edit because of that, simply because I just wanted to experiment. Okay, what is this all about? And probably that's all because of the college, the crowd that we're talking about.
Perfect. Okay, so at that point of time, you had certain plans. And now, if I ask you, did things go as per your plan? Like, briefly, just take us through your 3 years at SR.
Not at all. I definitely had a lot of short-term goals, which I tried to accomplish, but never a 3-year comprehensive goal set laid out for me. For the first year, I really wanted to create my own identity rather than molding myself as an ideal SRCC or finance enthusiast. And maybe in second year, it was more about working towards my community at Enactus and working towards social or environmental causes or doing a lot for my projects. I think I was just looking at what I was doing in second year. High in perspective, I think that it was great because I had a great experience talking to a lot of community members who were not from our background. So it gave me a wider perspective, which I don't think so one can imagine or like have a checklist for. So I think that was great. But yeah, I did all of this without losing hindsight that I was doing a course and I need to concentrate on that as well. So yeah, but if given a chance, I don't really regret anything, but I would definitely attend more classes because my attendance was terrible. But yeah, it was good 3 years, but I never really had a plan chalked out for me for all the 3 years that I had at Enactus SRCC.
And honestly, it's very difficult to chalk out a plan, you know, when you enter a college, and for the first time, it's so overwhelming, right? Like the moment you're trying to figure out your first year, and especially for our year, not especially, I mean, like you guys are still going through it, I'm so sorry, but lockdown, right? Lockdown literally changes things a lot. By the time we actually became comfortable with college, we were not in college anymore, and we were at our homes. So we were trying to figure out plans in our heads. Okay, probably I'll do this if college opens up, but college never opened up. So I think mostly, at least for me, if I speak for myself, plans were so ephemeral. We planned and chalked something out in a week. We thought, okay, I don't think college is going to reopen. I don't think that I have the resources to do this right now. I don't have enough people to do this right now. I don't have enough people to talk to because of this. And your plans change and you become more, like, you know, dependent, like on yourself, self-dependent. I think that's mostly what happened during lockdown, if we talk about the second year. And other than that, regret is a big word. I mean, like, nobody regrets coming to college. Everybody regrets leaving one without coming to college again. But like, I think all of us would regret that. But other than that, I don't think I regret anything per se.
Yeah, and I just want to add one more thing. It's more of a trial and error method. You can make as many errors as possible because, man, it's college only. You're not destined to be right, yes, in college. It's supposed to be full of errors. So yeah, follow a trial and error and maybe follow a error and error. You don't have to like succeed in anything.
Right. Now I have a personal question for Shivika. So a couple of your internships as well as your incoming role at Marico are in the marketing domain. It is a relatively unexplored field at our college. How did you find your calling in this field of work?
Okay, firstly, I would like to answer this question in two parts. Okay. And this is such like a case comp thing, but okay. I would like to answer this question in two parts. The first part is, this is an unexplored topic in college because nobody talks about it, especially because there is very less awareness about what marketing is. For most people, marketing is, I create an ad and that's marketing. Oh, there is a poster, there is a good copy, that's marketing. There is not enough knowledge about what marketing exactly is, because most of the time, most of the people in this college or in any college, 80% of their time goes into marketing themselves, marketing the society that they are in, marketing probably the community that they belong to. It goes in that. We're born with the idea and like the whole mindset of marketing, right? So finding your calling in marketing is something that most people often do, but they necessarily don't have an idea what to name it. A lot of people call it, yeah, probably like, yeah, I like to solve that problem. Now, how will you solve that problem? If you solve that problem with a creative lens, probably that's marketing. with a creative lens in terms of creating some sense of content, something that connects with the audience. If you want to look at it from like a more revenue cost based model, that's consulting. I mean, I'm just like putting it down in very, very simple terms. I mean, it's much more complicated than that, but very simple terms. So I found my calling, especially because of the society that I was in, because what we do on a regular basis is we create content, and we create hell lot of content. The things that you don't see, we've created it. The things that you've seen, we created it, and we've made so many mistakes that after a point in time you actually realize what to do and what not to do. And second would be networking. The more you talk to people, and honestly in our college, our seniors, super seniors, 3 years, 4 years, all of these folks have so much of experience in terms of the world outside, because we did not see college a lot. So we are seeing college from their lens and their understanding of what lies behind, like, what lies ahead. So I think that's how I found my calling, and it was more about content creation. I went into advertising, then I took a detour into, okay, I want to solve a problem, and then I took a detour into, okay, no, but I also want to do something creative, and I was like, okay, yeah, marketing karte, it's like, it's good stuff. So that's how it happened. I mean, honestly, it was not very all over the place. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct. So next question for Jasleen. So how much impact has your social entrepreneurship work at Enactus had on you as a person and for your professional development? Now, what would be your advice to someone who wishes to pursue social entrepreneurship as a career?
Social entrepreneurship as a subject is really close to my heart. From working with the community on ground, like I said, I think community made my second year, to pitching our ideas to the top brass in the government, which gave me a lot of exposure. I haven't really seen 2 days that look exactly the same at Enactus. It has changed me profoundly. And of course, in return of your dedication and hard work, Enactus gives you a lifetime of memories, smile, and immense love from your community, and of course, builds an armory of skills that will definitely go a long way. Trust me. So pursuing social entrepreneurship is really satisfying, and Enactus as a platform gave me an opportunity to execute 2 ideas into fully running businesses. I mean, I would just advise my juniors to go for this field, and the only thing that is required in social entrepreneurship is, I think, consistency and motivation, because it's a field that's not known for instant gratification. You won't get instant results. So hang in there and wait for good things to come your way. I think that's about it.
Perfect. Okay, so I think you guys touched upon this previously as well, but like, just to ask a formal question, with hindsight, do you think you could have done anything differently, like now that you're halfway through your third year? So yeah.
I think I won't say I would do anything differently, but yeah, I would be less calculated towards scoring a good CV. I think there's this general misconception amongst SRIs that every move has to be calculated in order to score a very good and nice CV. But I would rather say that you can combine your flair and passion and make it into your CV. I had a lot of, let's say, for example, I had a lot of quirky things on my CV, which any regular consultancy candidate won't have. I had an international film festival, which might sound absurd for a consultancy CV, but mind you, every interviewer asked me question on that point, and I was sort of very comfortable with that point, and it gave me a good head start in a lot of interviews, and it gave me the required confidence to basically set a tone for the further interview. So I'd say just combine your flair for just about anything and mix it with your strong points in, let's say, academic, and you don't have to then go for courses that you really don't like.
That makes sense. When you talk about SRIs, like normally people from commerce colleges, or let's talk about colleges which provide you with huge placement opportunities, right? Most of their steps are calculated steps, and I don't like, that's not wrong. I mean, I would never say that that's wrong, because it's a community, it's a college of everybody who's very ambitious, and that's why they're there. So to figure out where ambition lies and where do you want to see yourself, you obviously do take calculated steps. But at the end of the day, I would I would say that one thing that I would want to do differently, because I think a lot of people often do things just because, yeah, probably it'll look fancy. Yeah. I think that's something that, okay, I hate finance. I will just say it out loud. Okay. I never like numbers. I I knew for a fact that, okay, I'm never gonna sit for a finance company. That's something that I knew for a fact. I was like, yeah, I want to diversify my CV. Should I do like a finance related course? I mean, should I do it? Should everybody in our college must have done like fundamentals of quantitative modeling, right? Everybody. And I think that's something that I would want to take back. I would not want to do that course ever again. I I think that's one thing that's there. Second would be to actually spend more time with friends, because honestly, you don't get that a lot. And we realize it because we're in our hometowns and we don't get to see them a lot. But for all of you as well, and for the juniors coming in, whenever you go to college, just like hold your friends, don't let them go.
Yeah, I really want to back Shivika up here. Just go and have some fun, because I really regret not going often in my semester where I actually had to go to college in person. I really do regret that. So actually go and have some fun with your friends, at least in semester 1 and semester 2, where you don't have the requisite academic pressure.
Right. I think that's really a useful piece of advice for our juniors. Okay, so as a fresher at that point in time, did you have any misconceptions about college or, let's say, career in general?
Misconception, I mean, to have a misconception, you need to conceive something, right? You need to have a conception of sorts. uh, I had no idea, honestly. So what exactly happened for me, and I think a few folks would relate, I'm not sure if everybody would, but a few folks may just. I was a humanities student. I was like, I don't like math, but like I have economics. So if I take math, I might just get into a commerce college. So let's just take math. Okay. And I studied mathematics for 2 years. And I was like, okay, now marks are okay, marks are good. I think let's just go to SRCC. I think it's a good college. Yeah? I was like, I will study economics. I don't mind economics. I never knew that it was math honors. Okay. It is almost like math honors. So my misconception first up was, what is this course exactly? I was trying to figure out economics in the first semester, and I was all over the place because I had no idea. I had this whole mindset of, "Theek hai, hum graphs padhenge. We'll see how this goes there and whatnot, and demand and supply." And then I was seeing huge and very, very disturbing numbers, okay, all over the place. And I think that was one misconception, at least about the course. And the other misconception would be, everybody has this whole idea when they go to college, the student of the year. That's a very random thing to say, but honestly, everybody has this idea. Na, I will do this in college, and I will go to this party, and I'll go to eat this at this place, and on that day, you really plan it out. And the moment you plan it out, that's the moment you kill the buzz, right? Because all the spontaneous plans, that's what you remember. So probably, yeah, I think the misconceptions were to plan everything out, like in terms of the nicer things about Delhi University.
Great. So another personal question for Shivika. So your work experience has been very diverse, ranging from government enterprises like Invest India to renowned marketing agencies like Ogilvy. So what has been your biggest takeaway from having such a wide exposure?
So yeah, the thing is, now I was initially, when I entered college, I was necessarily like a little lost student. Okay, I just knew that I had been doing theater before, so I knew that I would be comfortable here and I would be able to explore here. But I was a little all over the place in terms of understanding what I exactly want to do. So the first thing that happened for me was, okay, I need to talk to someone who has been facing this. And honestly, trust me, every single person in college faces this in their first year. What to exactly do, everybody faces that issue, almost everyone. And the most helpful people in this scenario would be your seniors. And that's when I went to them. The best thing that happened to me was to create LinkedIn, right? Like to have an account on LinkedIn, because that's what helps you network like shit. It really does. So that's one thing that did happen for me. And I used to look at job roles not necessarily like from a name perspective, but from the job description perspective. So what happened for me was, okay, I never knew what was writing copies. I just knew that, okay, I'm writing a script, which might as well just be used on a poster or on like a pamphlet or of something. That was the script for me. And when I realized, okay, copywriting is something which actually helps you get into the scripting portion, is you just call it copy, right? I was like, okay, I can just do that for a brand. It would be so cool to just see Asian Paints have that one liner on their, some ad film or something. And I was like, chalo, let's just go for it. And then with Invest India, what happened was, I'm doing economics. Why not try public policy? Why not explore it? I mean, always, one thing that has been constant is always follow an elimination method. At the age that you are in, you can't be choosing the exact things that you want to do. So I had a very major elimination method. Initially, I was all about theater. I eliminated that when I actually got in and got to talking to a lot of people, saw the reality of what it is and my long-term goals, and if I will be able to achieve those long-term goals through theater. I eliminated that. I eliminated finance because I hated numbers. Then I eliminated a lot of things in terms of CA, CFA, like all of these very heavy courses. No, these courses make you feel very heavy, but they're awesome courses, but heavy courses. I eliminated that. And then I was like, okay, I have public policy, I have this, I have that. Let's try public policy. And then I eliminated that as well. Academia, I eliminated that because I wasn't enjoying my course. I was like, probably marketing is the field. And it's only because of the diverse exposure is when you realize what you actually want to do. So I think that answers your question. I was all over the place while answering this, but probably it does.
Yeah, sure. Yes. So, Jasleen, you have participated in and won many case competitions. Can you just share with us like how participating in these competitions has helped you in your professional life?
I'd say immensely. I think there are a lot of things that case competitions help you, not overtly, but over the years, once you start participating in them. I'd start with networking. I mean, you meet awesome people who have good profile, as well as they're placed in good firms and they're ready to help you out. I mean, in this time where you don't have the time to actually finish your work, you find people who are actually going above and beyond to help you. So I'd say networking is the best part of case competition, whether or not you win it. But I think meeting good people is always a plus. And then whenever the case competition starts and culminates, there's a huge time gap between these two things. And then you have a lot of mentorship in between, which is, I think, unparalleled. Even if you pay for those mentorship sessions, you wouldn't get that kind of standard. I mean, they provide it for pro bono. So I think definitely mentorship is a plus. And yeah, like I said, it helped me enhance my analytical and problem solving skills, which is essential skill set to a lot of job roles, especially consultancy, where I aim to find my own sort of niche. So I think, I think analytical skills and problem solving was a big plus there. And lastly, I think it sort of boosted my confidence, and it really came handy during a lot of interviews. I thought that I was more confident because I had participated in a lot of competitions and I was grilled in those competitions. Interviews were nowhere that serious. So yeah, again, I would like to advise that don't blindly participate in case competitions if you don't like them. Rather, find your niche and look for competitions within those niche. You don't have to necessarily go and participate in a lot of case and business competitions. I know a lot of people who scored a good company without like participating in a lot of business competitions. Instead, singing or dancing competitions, and they talked about that in their interviews, and interviews were pretty impressed. So rather find your own niche and look for competition within those niche.
Right. Okay, so to stay true to the name of the series, what would that one piece of advice be that you would like to give to our incoming juniors? And it would be great if you could break it down into like separate tips for each year.
Okay, so yeah, the one major, so again, one major advice that boils down to each and every year would be to build your personality, man. uh College just really shapes you. I mean, if you're sitting in an interview, I don't know what your goal is, what do you want to achieve at the end of the 3 years. If you don't want to get a job, please don't get a job. Please don't. If you don't want to study at this point, you want to build a startup, you want to build a product, go ahead and fail at it, it's fine. But just remember that this is something that you want to do by the time you're 21. Let's have like small goals, okay? Have like 3 years, 5 years, small goals which you can achieve and which actually helps you understand, okay, I have achieved this, I have the potential, probably I can scale it from there, you super scale it from there, whatever. So one major thing would be to build your personality. If you are going for a job, let's talk about you sitting in an interview, right? The interviewer knows that you're a third year student at an undergraduate college. Interviewer knows that. The interviewer does not want you to know everything. The interviewer does not even want you to know the bare minimum. What they want to know is this person coachable? Would I have fun teaching this person? And I've heard this from so many interviewers when I've talked to them, when I've talked to a lot of seniors. Often they tell you it's all about the personality, man. A lot of companies do look at your GPA, but a lot of them don't, and a lot of them matter, right? So focus on your personality over everything else, because that really takes you a long way. I know people who have so much of charisma and probably like a lower GPA, but so much of charisma, who bagged like the top, like the best placements in college, or like are building really good products right now in the startup space, are in the Silicon Valley of India, right? So that's what you want at the end of the day. If you have that goal in terms of the first year, please have fun, please. I know the day you get into college, somebody would talk about, okay, who got the highest placement last year? Oh, what is the company who gives you the highest placement? You guys must have seen it. We saw it. The time we entered, you're like, okay, EY Partner gives like, give like 31 lakhs. 31 lakhs is a lot. I mean, that was our mindset, right? Please don't give into that. Just don't, because you will have your time, and just go, just, choose your own pace. Don't follow someone else's pace. There are people who start working like horses in their first year, and there are people who start working like horses after their second year. And when you're sitting for placements, or you're going for like a job, or you want to build a product, you're still at a leveling ground. So always remember, your pace is what matters. First year, enjoy. Second year, please try and like strive to build on your leadership skills, because college is like a culmination of really diverse people with really diverse mindsets. I mean, I've seen people from different backgrounds, different economic, cultural backgrounds, coming together, creating something beautiful. And if you are the person who actually leads them to do something of that sort, firstly, it is huge gratification. And secondly, if you want to look at it from a materialistic perspective, bro, it looks good on your CV, okay? So I'll just give you like very clear things. But second year, actually try and build on leadership, and not just in college. Outside of college, there is so much of opportunity in the Delhi University. In social entrepreneurship, I think Jasmine will be able to tell you much better. If you want to go into commercial plays in terms of drama, in terms of content creation, in terms of helping out NGOs, whatever, all of this really helps out. It really builds you as a person. Third year, yeah, don't take it too harsh, man. A lot of people did during placements. I did. A lot of people do, because you see people getting placed, or you see people going to a very good college, or you see people doing things which just gets you like, yeah, why am I not doing this? I mean, what do I have to do to get that? Which is a very disheartening feeling. So third year, man, be with family. Talk to your mom. Genuinely, talk to your dad, talk to your mom, be with your sister, be with your brother, and be as vulnerable as possible, because everybody is in the same boat at that point in time. Talk to your friends, because always have that understanding that no matter what happens in college, no matter what happens this one day when that person got placed and they had a very nice interview and you didn't, remember that they've seen you as a dumb person in first year, and they've seen you grow, right? Respect your friends, respect everybody who's achieving, and respect everybody who isn't at that point in time. And I mean, really be with family, because third year can be really hard, can be hard on you, but if you're with family, I think it really helps.
I think Shivika has really broken it down fantastically. You covered a lot of ground. I just wanted to add one or two points that, yeah, pandemic was really challenging and was a major bump. At least for me, I dealt it via voicing out my problems. So I think it's really important for everyone in all of these 3 years to focus on mental health, because you will break down at certain points, even if it's not that important or like not as catastrophic as a pandemic. But like, be sure that your mental health is stable and you're voicing out to anyone, let's say your parents or even seeing a therapist. It's okay. I just wanted to add that point. And other than that, don't be boggled down. You don't need to feel incompetent even if you're in SRCC. It's okay. You can have your days where you're at your best, and it's okay. You can have your days where you're absolutely all over the place and at your worst. It's completely fine. One thing that I realized really late during my 3 years was I was really in my shell, and I didn't really talk to seniors a lot. But during my second year, I realized that I should have approached them in my first year itself. So talk to your seniors. Trust me, they can help you a lot in a lot of aspects, and they only want good throughout your trajectory of all these 3 years. And yeah, I think Shivika had actually broken it down great, and I don't need to add anything in between. Yeah, that's about it.
Perfect. So with that, we have come to the end of this episode. Thanks a lot, Shivika and Justine. We do hope that our viewers enjoy watching this episode as much as we enjoyed it recording this. Thank you so much.